Welcome back to the channel. I'm Dr. Michael Lenz, pediatrician, internist, and lifestyle medicine physician, bringing you 29 years of experience caring for infants right through to adulthood. Today, we tackle one of the most stressful questions that parents face. Is it safe to take acetaminophen, Tylenol, or paracetamol during pregnancy? For years, a shadow of doubt has hung over the common pain reliever, with studies suggesting it might increase the risk of neurodevelopmental disorders like autism and ADHD. But are these associations real, or are they medical ghosts? We're analyzing a landmark study out of Sweden involving nearly 2.5 million children. This research used a powerful new method, the sibling control analysis, that finally cuts through the decades of confusion to deliver a definitive answer. The results are startling. When you account for the shared genetic and family environment between siblings, the entire observed risk for acetaminophen vanishes. We're going to explain exactly why this happened and what it means for pain management during pregnancy. If you want evidence-based information regarding fibromyalgia and other chronic pain syndromes and related conditions, hit the subscribe button below and turn on notifications. The problem: correlation versus causation. Acetaminophen is widely used to manage fever and pain during pregnancy. While major health agencies like the FDA consider it to pose minimal risk, some groups have recommended precautionary action due to the potential risk of developmental disorders. What previous conventional studies found was an association or a correlation between the use of acetaminophen and neurodevelopmental disorders. Association, A and B happen together, and causation is A directly causes B. But association does not prove causation. The biggest challenge in this field is confounding. What is confounding? A confounder is an unmeasured third factor that relates both to the mother choosing to take the medication and to the child having the disorder, making it look like the medication is the culprit when it isn't. The familial confounder. Neurodevelopmental disorders like ADHD and autism are highly heritable. The data shows that parents who use acetaminophen during pregnancy often had a higher prevalence of psychiatric conditions as well as chronic pain syndromes, a higher early pregnancy BMI, and a lower socioeconomic position compared to non-users. It's not uncommon, as we hear on this channel, where many living with autism and ADHD have higher rates of chronic pain. These familial differences create a spurious association. The goal of the Swedish study was to eliminate this spurious link. The sibling control solution. The researchers conducted a massive nation cohort study in Sweden tracking over 2,480,000 children born between 1995 and 2019. They looked for diagnoses of autism, ADHD, and intellectual disability. To neutralize the familial confounders, they employed the powerful sibling control analysis. How it works. Instead of comparing an exposed child from one family to an unexposed child from an entirely different family where genetics and lifestyle differ, the sibling analysis compares full siblings born to the same biological parents. If the parent used acetaminophen during the first child's pregnancy, sibling 1, but not during the second child's pregnancy, sibling 2, the analysis looks to see if sibling 1 is truly at higher risk. By conditioning the analysis on the family, they inherently control for all shared factors, including genetics and stable socio-demographic characteristics. So what were the results? The sibling control analysis resulted in a dramatic change, transitioning the associations from marginal risk to no association. In the conventional models, acetaminophen used during pregnancy was associated with a statistically significant small increase in risk for all three outcomes. For example, for autism, the absolute risk difference at 10 years was 0.09% higher. The hazard ratio for ADHD and the absolute risk difference at 10 years was 0.21% higher. And intellectual disability, the hazard ratio was 1.05. This means the conventional data suggested the medicine was possibly harmful. But what happened with the sibling control analysis? When the unobserved familial confounders were accounted for using the sibling control analysis, the risk disappeared, meaning the medication was found to be not associated with the disorder. The hazard ratios moved to approximately 1.00, indicating that the risk among exposed siblings was effectively the same as among unexposed siblings. The absolute risk differences also became negligible. For ADHD, the risk difference shifted from 0.21% higher risk minus 0.02%. The disappearance of the dose response. The sibling control analysis provided further proof by addressing the potential for a dose-response pattern. If acetaminophen truly caused the harm, we would expect higher doses to lead to higher risks. In the initial conventional models, they did see a pattern suggesting higher doses were related to higher risk, but this pattern attenuated or weakened as they added more controls. Crucially, the dose-response pattern fully disappeared in the sibling analysis. For example, when looking at autism among siblings, high mean daily prescribed use, greater than 430 milligrams per day, resulted in a hazard ratio of 0.088 compared to no use. This null finding confirms that even the highest measured exposure levels did not increase the risk when shared family factors were controlled. So what can we take from this? The shift from finding marginal associations to finding no evidence of association in the sibling control analysis strongly suggests the link between acetaminophen use during pregnancy and children's neurodevelopmental risk is a non-causal association. The previous findings were likely caused by familial confounding. The families where acetaminophen was used were already genetically or environmentally predisposed to these outcomes, regardless of the medication. This large-scale, robust study provides crucial evidence that when faced with pain or fever during pregnancy, using acetaminophen as directed does not appear to increase your child's risk of autism, ADHD, or intellectual disability. So to summarize, why was there the initial potential association? Because many people who are living with autism, ADHD-style nervous systems are much more likely to have chronic pain syndromes and thus much more likely to use Tylenol. I hope that you've enjoyed this and other videos. If so, hit the like and subscribe button. Until next time.